Hey everybody, welcome to Lex's Lounge. How's it going? I hope you've all been doing well. I have done a number of episodes on this channel on the topic of COVID and how I felt about it, and I've done an episode on reading the statistics around it critically. I've even done a half-hour long final assessment of how I thought COVID went from like an economic and civil rights and health standpoint. And the gist of that is that I thought that it was pretty grim. So I've been a little bit sort of negative about the whole COVID thing. So I've decided to take a little bit of a challenge onto myself. I sat down with a notepad and I tried to make a list of positive side effects that have happened as a result of COVID. And I actually came up with a good little list here that I thought I might share with you guys because cheered me up a bit. Maybe it'll do the same for you. So here's my positive side effects from COVID in no particular order. And some of these are more serious, some of these are less serious. So the first one is identification of essential workers. We came up with this vocabulary term, essential worker, during this crisis, and those are the people that really keep our society running, the grocery store clerks, the healthcare workers, the bank tellers, the post office tellers, the people we really need, otherwise society just kind of grinds to a halt. And it's been good that we've identified precisely who they are. Hopefully that'll lead not only to people treating them better when they are customers, but also we end up paying those people a little bit better because they certainly deserve it. The next positive was the annihilation and denormalization of the wasteful wedding industry. I've kind of always had it out for the wedding industry because I feel it's a little bit of a scam industry. The event of getting married has held less and less and less significance as time went on. For a lot of people, their life doesn't even change anymore between before they got married and after, and yet weddings just keep getting bigger and more expensive, and they're becoming more and more of sort of a silly little show. That was the reason why I never had much of a formal wedding myself. We just kind of had somebody come to our house and marry us, and then we went to Barbados for a honeymoon. So I was happy that the wedding industry has basically been annihilated by this. People have been forced to have small, modest, and more, practical weddings. And hopefully that's a habit that's going to stick. At least I hope so. Another positive, we learned all sorts of words like epidemiologist and what they do, serological surveys and what they're all about. Those are the antibody tests. We learned about convalescent plasma therapy and all sorts of other good medical vocabulary. We even learned what exactly it is that lab techs do when it comes to testing our blood, which my wife appreciated since she is one of those blood techs. So I thought that was cool that society kind of educated itself on certain health aspects of it. This one's less serious. Remember Paris Hilton? Apparently she's a DJ now. That's what she does for a living. And apparently life has been rough for her. She has not been able to pack those mosh pits the way that she normally does. So Paris Hilton's DJ business, failing. Apparently it's just not the same when she does it strictly online via stream. So I thought that was a positive. People have been getting a lot of stuff done during lockdown. I have seen a lot of people who wrote a book during lockdown, who did a ton of renos, who spent a significant amount of time with their kids and, had quality time with them. Seems people did end up using their lockdown time productively, at least to some degree, not just watching Netflix all the time. I tried to come up with like a good economic thing that came out as a result of COVID, and that was kind of tough. The thing I ended up coming up with was a couple of my favorite assets, gold and Bitcoin, have actually hardened as a result of this crisis. When people sort of felt like society was fragile and fiat currency was fragile, they bought a lot more Bitcoin and gold, and that was good for both of those assets. In fact, if you want to start dabbling in Bitcoin, I'll link to my favorite exchange down in the video description, because I predict Bitcoin will continue to be rather bullish over the next few months as people realize just how much trouble fiat currency is in as a result of all the COVID overspending. Sorry, getting negative again. Back to positives. This one's one that a lot of news outlets have covered. Cuts in pollution and emissions levels. And not all of them are even temporary. Some of them are permanent as habits change, as some people work from home permanently. Some of these cuts are forever, and definitely we've seen all sorts of things where air in urban areas, particularly Asian urban areas where there's some really big cities, air has been much cleaner, water has been much cleaner, animals have suddenly been appearing in places where they haven't been seen in a long time. Nature, came back a little bit, which just showed that with permanent long-term emissions cuts, you could actually do quite a bit of good to the environment. So I thought that was a good thing. This one's kind of for fun. Lots of people, particularly old people, stopped paying their bills at the bank, which really annoyed me when you'd go to the bank and stand in line and somebody's paying their telephone and electric bill and all that. Just do it online, man. And now they're finally doing it online, which results in shorter lines for everybody. Another positive, gardening and backyard hens have exploded in popularity. People I talk to who sell baby chicks or who build chicken coops, I actually know people like that, they say that it's booming like crazy out there. I guess that the store is almost running out of eggs, and having various other supply problems freaked people out a little bit. So now they're taking backyard hens and gardening a lot more seriously. And in my view, when the food supply becomes more local, more decentralized, people take on making their food firsthand a little bit more, those are all excellent things, both for the environment and for people's health. I've also noticed there's been more community spirit around. In my area, we've done a lot of banging pots and pans at predetermined times, howling at the moon. But it's been more than just, things for show like that. People have actually been showing each other a lot more empathy in various situations because we've all kind of been going through a bunch of crappy stuff all together that everybody can relate to. So more empathy in society, not a bad thing. And finally, I've noticed that people have begun to hate social media a lot more. Social media has really been a drag during COVID. Actually, the media, like mainstream news media, have also been quite a drag, and I've seen a lot of people notice that and take action to reduce their social media intake, to look at their news more critically, to realize that their news media is about clickbait and getting them to read it more, and not really so much about informing them. And that goes even for the good outlets. That's been the real bad problem during COVID, is you realized whether you're talking about a great journalistic paper like Washington Post, or whether you're talking about a crappy information source like Facebook, well, actually, they can both be pretty crappy and do little in terms of inform you, and do a lot in terms of fear-mongering. So you should probably be more critical and try to intake a little bit less of both. So it's been a good thing that I've seen people realizing that. I've seen a lot of people quitting social media the last few months. So that's been a good thing in my opinion. So there you go, guys. That's my list of positives from COVID. Hope it cheered you up a little bit. It cheered me up a little bit to make it. You can feel free to make your own list and see if you can come up with a few more. On that note, if that was useful to you, make sure you're subscribed, that you've hit that like button, and we'll see you all next time.